What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I just wanted to do a quick video on the top 5 heavy weapons, or power weapons, I'll never get used to that you should be using in Destiny 2, whether you're kind of running through public events, you want to get them done quickly, or you want to have nice DPS inside of the raid and deal with some of those tanky targets. These are the top 5 weapons that I would personally choose. There are of course other power weapons in the game. This video won't go into every single power weapon, but this is a list of some of the standout weapons that you should be thinking about. So this is in no particular order. First I wanted to take a look at the raid sword from the Leviathan raid called It's Stared Back. So this is an adaptive frame sword, well-rounded and reliable. You can use RT to launch an uppercut style attack. We've got Hungry Edge, increases sword ammo, or Jagged Edge, which increases damage at the cost of sword ammo. We have Enduring Guard. Sword Guard has high efficiency and low defense. Burst Guard. Sword Guard has low efficiency and high defense. And then we have Whirlwind Blade. These are the important perks. Consecutive rapid sword strikes increase the weapon's damage output, and as well as this, Relentless Strikes, landing 3 strikes within a short time, grants sword ammo. Now these two perks are kind of the big thing for this weapon. With Whirlwind Blade, you'll see increased damage as you kind of consecutively strike enemies with the sword, and this is good for dealing with, you know, a single tanky target inside of the raid or something like that. I really like using the sword in the kind of middle section of the raid, you know, where you enter all of the different encounters. Somewhere else where this sword will really shine is inside of the Pleasure Gardens encounter. You know, if you're kind of each soloing one of the dogs, you can get 60 stacks, and with a decent amount of ammo, you're going to take down one of those dogs on your own very, very easily. And of course, you're not having to leap around firing rockets or reload your launcher or anything like that. But also, Relentless Strikes will grant you bonus sword ammo by landing 3 strikes within a short period of time. So you do kind of 3 attacks of any type, and you'll have 1 sword round returned to the magazine. After you've had the initial kind of 3 strikes, if you continue getting more strikes, you will find that the weapon keeps reloading ammo to the magazine on each strike. I think that's what's happening with the weapon, unless it's some kind of bug where it's randomly granting more ammo than it should. Either way, it's a good thing, and it definitely makes this sword pretty much the most appealing one in the game right now. Another really solid weapon is the Wardcliff Coil. Of course, many people have been using this thing since Destiny 2 launched. It's a pretty devastating power weapon. So it comes with Mad Scientist. The weapon fires a volley of rockets. We have Volatile Launch. The weapon is optimized for an especially explosive payload, as well as extended mag, greatly increased magazine size but reloads slower. But we do have Mechanized Autoloader. The weapon automatically reloads on ammo pickup, which is nice, and Composite Stock. The weapon has a versatile dual purpose stock, which increases stability and handling speed. Now, where other rockets are kind of good for a single target, Dubious Volley is very, very good with kind of crowds of enemies, also with, you know, pretty tanky enemies with shields and things like that. Running this in public events, I've found, is just the most fun that you can have with some of Destiny's weapons, and it's very, very devastating. You can take out whole groups of enemies, including those shielded tanky targets. Another thing that's nice about this weapon is that it automatically reloads on ammo pickup. Of course, reloading rocket launchers is quite a jarring feeling in Destiny 2. They always have 1 warhead in the chamber, so it is nice to have this mechanized autoloader as well. Really, this weapon speaks for itself. It's not necessarily the best DPS weapon, but it's a very good weapon for crowd control and can kind of spread its damage a little bit. And you can also kind of aim as the weapon fires as well, you know, kind of strafe from left to right or whatever, if you are dealing with a group of mobs. The only risk with Wardcliff Coil is, of course, because its volleys come out over a period of time, is that as you move, if any kind of things obstruct you, you can easily kill yourself with this thing. Otherwise, it's a very, very good launcher. A launcher that you're going to want if you're firing at a single target, though, would be the Sins of the Past rocket launcher from the raid. This is an excellent legendary rocket launcher. So it's a high impact frame weapon, fires slow but does high damage. The weapon is more accurate when stationary and aiming down sights. You have options of confined launch, linear compensator, or smart drift control. The second 2 right there will bump up the velocity a little bit, as well as handling, at the expense of blast radius, although blast radius is one of the things that makes this weapon appealing. We have cluster bombs though. Rockets spawn cluster bombs upon detonation, as well as Ambitious Assassin, which overflows the magazine based on the number of rapid kills before reloading, which can actually be kind of decent. You know, if you blow a bunch of enemies up, then you can add some ammo back into the magazine, but cluster bombs is pretty important for the damage on this one. Finally though, we have auto-loading holster. Again, the holstered weapon is automatically reloaded after a short period of time. I was going to say, again, this is a really nice bonus to have on launchers. You know, if you've got kind of ammo in reserve, you can just switch to your primary or whatever. You don't have to waste time always reloading this thing, or you'll kind of find those pockets of time in encounters and things like that where you can have it kind of automatically reload while it's holstered. Now this thing is pretty similar in a lot of ways to the Curtain Core, which is the Vanguard launcher. This does have a lower velocity, so it takes longer for the rockets to kind of travel from the weapon to the target, but the blast radius on this thing is very, very good. It means that if you're firing it into groups of adds, the kind of radius is wider, of course, so you're going to get more kills. Also though, it does very, very good damage. Using this in the bathing ritual section, if you actually let the kind of cleaver enemies come all the way out and then fire the rocket at them, it will take them down to just a pinch of health, having this thing at around about 300 attack. It's generally good anytime that you can fire the rocket straight onto a target. You're not going to do any more damage with a legendary launcher, at least in my experience, so this thing is definitely one to put in the collection. Some weapons which are really nice right now would also include the linear fusion rifles, particularly the Manawar and the Tarantula, I believe it's called. Manawar itself is precision frame, so fires a long-range precision energy bolt. This weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. It has fluted barrel for increased handling and stability, or polygonal rifling for increased stability, and then corkscrew rifling, which increases range and stability and increases handling speed. I personally don't find that these have that much influence, to be honest, on a linear fusion rifle, but we have projection fuse, increases range, or accelerated coils, so speeds up the charge time, which does also decrease the impact of the damage, but we have moving target, increased movement, speed, and target acquisition when moving while aiming down sights. I'm not personally that fantastic with linear fusion rifles in general, but I found for boss DPS, particularly things like Callus, this thing is really, really good. Obviously, depending on the level of the weapon versus the enemy, this thing right here is doing something like 40-odd thousand damage, so it does have very, very good damage. Like I said, I prefer to fire these at kind of bigger, more stationary targets than to actually kind of use them on tankier mobs and things like that, although they are incredibly effective for that. Versus most sniper rifles, I think that linear fusion rifles are really fun to use and they do very, very good damage. Of course, sniper rifles in general are going to do less damage, but that's because they can fire faster. I haven't found that many insane sniper rifles for PvE stuff outside of the raid sniper. That definitely deserves a shout because it has triple tap, so that's going to have, you know, some of the higher DPS potential for snipers currently in the game. Otherwise though, I definitely think linear fusion rifles are worth a try. The final weapon is going to be the Merciless. I bet you saw this one come in. Very good fusion rifle, so it has conserve momentum. Non-lethal hits with projectiles make this weapon charge faster until its wielder gets a kill, and this is huge for the weapon. We'll talk about it more in a moment. We've also got chambered compensator, so it has increased stability, moderately improved recoil, and slightly decreased handling speed. We have extended mag. The weapon's magazine is greatly increased, but reloads much slower. And then impetus, reloading immediately after a kill, increases weapon damage for a short time. And finally, fitted stock. The stock makes the weapon stable, but heavy, which increases stability, controls recoil, but slightly decreases handling speed. Now, of course, the two big perks on this thing will be conserve momentum as well as impetus. What makes this weapon special is its ability to kind of charge up faster every time that non-lethal hits with the weapon kind of connect with the target. And there's a ton of places that you can use this thing, you know, whether it's a tanky target in the raid with a kind of elemental shield or whatever, you can fire a bunch of shots. These enemies in the gauntlet are a pretty good example. It's also good for boss DPS, especially when you're in a fairly close range with a stationary enemy, because fusion rifles do pretty good non-critical damage, and if you have enough ammo to where you're kind of reloading the magazine and then continuing to empty the magazine out, you will get a bonus for damage for a short time upon the reload. So naturally it becomes a very, very efficient, effective weapon, and really when you see this thing in action, especially a bunch of them on a boss or something like that, the damage speaks for itself. So those are kind of the core weapons that I wanted to talk about. A couple of little shouts though. Hawthorne's Field Forged Shotgun is a really good kind of full auto shotgun, so if you wanted some point blank damage, you know, a full auto shotgun with a pretty fast rate of fire, then Hawthorne's Field Forged Shotgun is really good. As I mentioned before, the Alone as a God sniper, which comes from Leviathan Raid, is going to be one of the best PvE snipers for doing damage in particular. The Curtain Core rocket is an extremely good rocket launcher for one that can drop from Vanguard packages, and also the Prospector grenade launcher, the exotic one, is a pretty decent weapon. In the right situations, you can definitely put out quite a lot of damage. So those are the kind of top power weapons for dealing damage in my opinion, guys. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. Let us know which your favorite weapons are. I hope you have enjoyed this video. video though. If you have, a like and comment is always appreciated. If you're new around here and you want to keep up to date with the world of Destiny 2, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. But for now, I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.